the government and economists owe it a duty to this country to look at the economic fundamentals in the African way, given our demographics, given our cultural attitudes, given our own ethics. Poverty is something that it's not just numbers. Poverty is about people. And when you look at the numbers, they are lifeless. But people, we are talking about real people, households, people who cannot feed.
Families.
They are human beings. We are talking about straight human beings who have needs to be met, who are not well captured in the global economy because they are poor. When you get to that point, you will notice that poverty is a function of major variables. One, the overall macroeconomic environment, which the government normally talks about. But there are other aspects. We have what we call the cultural aspects of poverty. The attitudes, the society, the ethics of the people, how it relates to poverty. We have also the educational aspects. There are skills, capabilities as a nation. You know, I said something. Why we have a lot of human beings in this country, what is important in reducing poverty in a country is not human beings, but human capital. Now, the difference between the two is human beings simply increase population, but human capital increases wealth. We're talking about what is their skill level, what is their level of education, are their capabilities as human beings. That is what is important to reducing poverty, not the people and what can they do? What can they do? That requires serious education, especially in the area of developing potentials, capabilities locked up among these people, inside these people. In that aspect, the Nigerian government is not solving that aspect. Like I said something, we are not going to make any major progress in this country, no matter how beautifully we orchestrate our plans, if we do not address the one vital component. There are three things that make a country rich or get out of poverty. There are three things. One is the amount of natural resources they possess. Two, the amount of human resources they possess. Three, the amount of technological and capital resources they possess. I go back again. Human, natural resources, and capital resources. Now, there's a problem. Of these three resources, the most important is the human resources. Because it is the human resources capabilities of a nation that produces the technological and capital resources. For example, it is human beings that will produce cars, factories, cell phones, power plants, and things like that. So if you don't develop the middle part, the natural resources are always there for most countries. But the human resources is the bridge between natural resources and capital formation and growth and wealth. With 200 million people in this country, what are the capabilities of these 200 million people? That's the question. Now, one person can take a country out of poverty if he has a lot of potential. For example, in Nigeria, Aliko Dangote, through his ingenuity and creativity, is able to create a business system that employs nothing less than 40,000 Nigerians and build wealth to the point that him alone is worth $29 billion. There's another guy in the United States called Mark Zuckerberg. Through his ingenuity and creativity, he generated wealth. Facebook is worth over $800 billion. His personal net worth is over $120 billion. Let me put it into perspective. That's just one man, a well-educated, functionally developed man. And his wealth, Edo State, the GDP of Edo State is $12 billion. His personal net worth is $140 billion. So you see, with 6 million people in Edo State, between 6 to 8 million, the total wealth generated in this state in a year is his personal net worth. So it is not about the people, it's about their capabilities. The government should address that problem. Until we do that, these statistics will remain, they will become a recurring decimal. What have we done in the last 30 years to develop the capabilities of Nigerians in the area of technology, fabrication, engineering, software creation, to integrate them into the global economy? I have not seen anything. What we are doing is what we call immiserizing growth, where you give people 20,000 and call it palliative type of development. Fishing development. What we need is industrial development, not giving people money to escape poverty. No, you do not give people money to solve the poverty problem. The government approach, social palliatives to people, is simply teaching people how to be poor in the long run. What the government needs to do is not to give people money, handouts. That's socialism. It's nonsense in the modern world. What the government needs to do is capitalism. deliberate capitalism by developing the capacities of Nigerians to generate wealth themselves. Imagine 200 million people, well-educated, well-skilled, capable of developing major systems. You will see that most of these small mom and pop stores we have in Nigeria is redundant. What we need is mega corporations. That requires educated people in the art of organizing industrial empires so that we can build more efficient systems. If 4 million people have small kiosks and one person has a major kiosk that employs 4 million people, the impact is different because corporations do better than human beings.
Than individuals.
Than individuals, as individuals. So we need to have the corporate mentality. We need to formalize our economy, make it modern, develop competencies in human beings so that they can form what we call synergistic relationships. What we do now is just personal energy and talent. What we need to develop a country to
the kind that helps you pay your bills.
Yeah, that helps you pay your bills. But what we need is synergistic relationships where 1 can come to 2 and then 1 plus 2 plus 3 will give you 25 instead of giving you 6. So you get the idea now. That type of creativity is seriously lacking in this country. As I speak to you, we have 47 million businesses in this country. Not up to 500,000 of them are PLCs capable of employing 10,000 workers. Coca-Cola employs 95,000 workers. Volkswagen employs over 300,000 workers. Where is that corporation? The biggest bank in Nigeria does not employ more than 6,000 workers. We need a well-diversified economy, and that requires the government to do what we call strategic planning in the area of attracting foreign investment into this country. And critical to that is power and infrastructure.
I would love to talk about two things, quite frankly. Power and, of course, infrastructure and then school. I mean, education. We're going to talk about education. But you see, the World Bank is going forward to say, look, the earlier Nigerian government introduces policies that help address welfare issues in Nigeria, the better for not just the government, but for the economy, of course, for citizens. We've seen policies in this country. Are we lacking in policies, really?
There are surplus of them. But like I said, the teeth, the grip of the policy. We like easy policies. It's not called painful policies. Let me give you a simple, this place is very cool right now. Because of the air conditioner. Have you tried to touch it from outside? It's very hot. You burn a lot of energy to produce cold, right? No country develops on easy peasy policies. Hard decisions have to be taken. There was a time we talked about the subsidy problem in this country. And then they said they should remove the subsidy. It will attract investment. The whole country went on rampage and said it was a stupid policy. That was in 2011. As if 2021 will not come. It's just a decade. We're back to the same route. The subsidy issue was not handled. If it was taken away that time, the price of petrol did not go down. It's just somewhere there. It's still going up. If it was handled, it was hard, it was a tough decision. The brightest economists in this country came and told us it is the best way to go. You cannot have a country subsidizing consumption. What countries do is subsidizing production. Nigeria, we have all the brightest economists in this country who knows what is right and what to be done. I've told you that. There's no shortage of policies. What we need is taking hard decisions, sticking to it, no matter how painful it is, to get us out of the poverty trap. Now, we did not do that. And then we allowed it to go. 10 years passed, no progress. We do not have a private refinery in this country, except the efforts of Aliko Dangote, who possibly has been trying to invest in this area. But if you took that off that time, by now, in 10 years, private businessmen are very greedy. In economies, greed is good. In their greed, they build wealth for themselves and for the economy. So if you took away the subsidy that time, then these people will bring billion-dollar investments to the economy because they want to make profit from the high price. In the long run, they compete among themselves. Quite naturally, Nigerians have surplus of petrol. They can export to other countries, and then we can compete on price, and then the price will go down. But it's a painful policy that needs to be taken. And that policy will affect everybody. But we like cheapy, easy. Like I told you, even if you try to explain the policies to the average Nigerian, they do not have the intellectual sophistication to process it, to see that there's a difference between short run and long run. Certain things are good in the short run, but in the long run, they are bad.
They can hurt you.
They can hurt you. So, and politicians play on this tendency of Nigerians to forget, to have a short-term memory. And in this there are so many short terms that lead to the long term. And so politicians tend to have a short-term cycle because they have 4 years horizon. But for you to develop an economy, you need to have a 50-year, 100-year horizon beyond one administration. And so if a politician discovers that sharing generation to people, buying keke napep for people in the short term will alleviate the poverty, so to speak, then he will focus on doing that, waiting for the next election. But if the politician is not interested in the short-term needs of people, but more interested in developing the economy from the long term, he's going to be dealing on strategic projects which jump people out of poverty in the long run, but in the short run tends to put people on that kind of struggle. Right. But that is what we need. So like I said, while we have these policies, it is not the policies. It is the decision to follow them through according to the mechanics of a modern economy. Okay? You want to pull 100 million people out of poverty, and then you are using palliative economics. It will not work. It will not work. I must say it for those people who are listening at home. It doesn't work. You are simply postponing the evil day. Okay? No country thrives on primitive socialism. We must build competencies so that people can generate wealth by themselves. There is no limit to what people can do if they have capabilities and have a system where they can express themselves and generate wealth. Okay? And that is where government needs to be working on. 4 aspects. 1, create a level playing field for people to come and do business in this country. Right. Regulation, very important. 2, develop critical infrastructure. Use our current earnings to develop it. We need more power stations. We need more ports. We need more industrial zones, right, like big industrial zones. And then we need to put these policies in place to ensure that private investment flows into the country. Okay, I'll tell you something. As powerful as China signed a deal with Elon Musk to invest in the electric vehicle industry and not pay taxes for up to 10 years. Tax break. The commitment of the Chinese government to that investment is half of the investment. You are bringing $200 billion to my economy. I tell you, I guarantee $100 billion. Right. They generated power for that particular investment. Exclusively. They guaranteed loans from banks to him so that his probability of loss is minimized. But let me tell you, strategic thinking behind it. It looks as if they are foolish. They want to lead the electric vehicle race, which is going to be the biggest business in the next 10 to 15 years. That's strategic thinking. The governments afford to be foolish now to attract this guy into this company. As I speak to you right now, that plant is rolling nothing less than 4,000 vehicles per month in China, trolling it away. They are making serious investments. Presently, it is one of the most valued companies in the world. Of course, that's Tesla. I'm talking about Tesla. I didn't want to mention the company name. And and that company has a lot of potential. I am telling you, I've already seen it. In the next 10 to 20 years, the electric vehicle companies will overtake. Do you know Volkswagen and 3 major car companies have existed for 100 years? The value, some total value of the 3 biggest car companies is not up to Tesla. What does that tell you? That's the future. So governments must be proactive. Why did they bring Tesla? Tesla is the biggest and most competent electric vehicle manufacturer. China knows they have a trade war with the United States. It's irrelevant. They took advantage of the capitalist thinking behind it. This is not time for boo-boo economics. We are looking at bringing investor, bring money into us, bring ideas. They are going to copy technology, diversify it, and build 50 of that in the next 10 years. But they need this technology from this American. Nigeria must be like that. We must open our economy, look at where we have competencies. We have resources. We need to call these people. If we have to beg them, it's wisdom, it's economic wisdom to invite the big players into your economy to take advantage of your economy, so to speak, in the short run. Whereas in the long run, you benefit. They even told Tesla, for instance, that he can repatriate all profits away from China. He can choose to own the company 100%. Not develop. You have to domicile here. All we just want is put it here. You can decide to pack tomorrow and go away. You can retain 100%. It does not make any economic sense, any political sense to do that.
Right.
But it makes economic sense. And so the man has nothing to lose from his perspective. But China has everything to gain if they master his technology and replicate it. So why don't we do something like that? As I speak to you, $90 trillion investments are going around the world. $90 trillion. Only 1 to 3% come to Africa.
As a continent.
As a continent. The American GDP is $22 trillion. African GDP is 1.4 trillion. The United States capital capabilities is 20 times that of the full continent. We should cut these people, for God's sake.
In Nigeria at the time, I mean,
yes.
Let's just bring a curve into the conversation. Between 1999 and 2003, of course, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo was president. We used to hear so much about poverty eradication.
Yes.
Eradication.
Yes.
But later, there was, as it were, an evolution.
Yes.
It evolved, and we started hearing poverty alleviation. What informed that switch?
Alleviation is when when the poverty is not ripe, you now begin to change the rhetorics.
Okay.
What is supposed to be happening is people are supposed to be, over time, going out of poverty.
Right.
But Nigeria is producing more poor people. That informs, it's what we call a minimax strategy. There's what we call maximum strategy. So we are trying to manage the failures. We are not thinking of the upper part.
But that doesn't change the narrative for the better, does it?
It doesn't do anything. You see a cup. Somebody says the cup is half full, and that one says it's half empty. It's just semantics, perspective. Half full, half empty. The half empty cup has more potential to grow than the one that is half full. Half full. It's a lazy mentality of looking at the cup. But somebody says the cup is half empty, he's thinking about filling up.
Right.
So when you say poverty alleviation, the term itself is redundant. It means you are trying to solve poverty that already exists, and you are trying to weather the storm. What the term should be removed from our vocabulary. What we're talking about is wealth creation. There's another term superior to poverty alleviation. There's a philosophical wisdom that says if you fight for freedom, you'll be getting war. If you fight, if you promote peace, war will disappear. It's just terms. If you say we are fighting against poverty, the term, because you are facing poverty, poverty will keep manifesting itself. Because you are looking at it from the half full cup. But if you say we want to generate wealth, poverty will run away because the policies will be attacking generating wealth.
Right.
We should stop talking about poverty. We should remove it from our vocabulary and focus on generating wealth.
Just a while ago, I was talking with a gentleman, Dr. Andrew Obi, and he talked about something he called data for action, right?
Okay.
Data being the emphasis here.
Yes.
Does the Nigerian government even believe in all of this data that we're seeing? Because you need data to drive the narrative, whether you like it or not. First of all, how do you even know how many persons are poor in your country? This data is not even coming from the NBS as we know it right now. It's coming from the World Bank, a Bretton-Woods institution, for example. And now we've been told that the World Bank and the IMF, in some cases, I mean, I've spoken with the economic experts like yourself, who say, look, they create some of the problems for us. Either by way of calling the shots as to, well, these are preconditions for getting loans, for example, or just to ensure that they keep, they have that upper hand, as it were, over African countries or the entire global south, policies, as it were. Yes,
and their policies.
Exactly. Do we leverage data enough in this country?
No, we don't. We don't. Immediately, the World Bank publishes its statistics.
We're done.
The government always says it is a fabrication or it does not represent the facts.
So what are the facts?
What are the facts? That's the question. You present your own statistics. Why do we wait for the World Bank to be telling us the poverty statistics? Why don't we have it from the NBS? NBS will just report a dry data. You interpret it anyhow you like. But World Bank is putting the human face to it. I won't blame the World Bank because we are talking about people. There's a way to say that without mentioning poverty.
Right. Just
simply say low-income earners. It's a gentleman's way of expressing it. So World Bank would have chosen to use that. It's actually a derogatory term to say a country is falling into poverty.
So you want to be more euphemistic?
Yes, a well-informed economist will use other terms like low-income people, low-income, the gap, and things like that. But you know why they put poverty? It has a human face.
So you can relate with it.
Poverty is emotional, and so you can relate with it. What the government needs to do is to look at the statistics, and then look at the economy, and look at the NBS statistics, and see whether there is a correlation between the NBS data and the World Bank data. The truth is this. Without being told, I am an economist, I also study this data. There's poverty in this country. There's a lot of poverty. I am not among the political economists. There's poverty. What is poverty by global standards? People living on less than $1.90
a day.
A day. Okay, that is 800 naira a day. The average minimum wage in this country is 30,000 naira.
Which is still a matter of controversy as it stands.
Yeah, I'm coming there. Then 800 naira a day times 30 days is 24,000 naira. A lot of Nigerians earn between 0 and 24,000 naira a month. Half of the population. That is the hard fact. Okay? There are so many ways to compute it. That is a problem. In US, it is 2.5 million a month. In another country. In Nigeria, it is 25 to 30,000 naira a month. Call most of the people you see on the street. They earn between 0 and 30,000 naira a month.
Whether in public or private sector?
Anywhere you look at it, that's the average rate of Nigeria. That's poverty. By what standard? We are comparing countries across. The statistic is not for Nigeria. It's a global statistic. You go to China, you collect data from all countries, and you see the rate. You use the dollar as a base. And based on that base, we are saying that over 80 million Nigerians are poor. Because the world is now integrated into a global economy. And so we buy from the same market, right? We buy our TV sets from the same market the Chinese buy. And so we are going to buy from our wages, right? So if you earn 30,000 naira and you are going to buy an iPhone in the global market, they will not say because you earn 30,000 naira, they will sell it for you cheap.
Right.
They will sell it at the dollar rate globally. And so some countries are shortchanged because of their income capabilities. Is that okay? So what the government should do is to change the narrative. How do you do that? Do you do that by increasing the people's money prematurely, or you increase their productivity? There are two different things. Increasing salaries will not solve the Nigerian poverty problem because the salaries have to be generated, right? Yeah. So what we should focus on is increasing productivity. And what is productivity? Capacities to produce. And how do we do that? Like I said, we need institutional growth. We need science and technology oriented growth. We need industrialized growth, not that type of growth we go and share 20 million to 20 million women 5,000 naira. You are simply immeasurizing. What's immeasurizing growth? The term means growth that is forward and backward
at the same time.
At the same time. Okay, 2 steps forward, 8 steps backward. That is not growth. We need sustainable growth in 4 areas, and I will keep saying that to somebody who listens. 1, human capital. Number 1 first. We need to train more pilots deliberately. If I was the government, I would build aviation schools in this country, deliberately give people access to it, because it's expensive if you want to fund it yourself. With 30,000 naira monthly salaries for Nigerians, none of them will be able to fund aviation skills, for instance. But government can jumpstart. That's why government has the responsibility. Government can build aviation. It's a hard decision. Build aviation schools around this country. In this country, we don't have more than 2. Right. Build more. Then give willing, intelligent Nigerians, young people, to go and study it. We need to build more pilots, more doctors, more software engineers with government help. That's how government should give, not giving handouts. Build capacities to educate Nigerians. So imagine if Nigeria is training 50,000 pilots every year, 40,000 software engineers every year, 80,000 auto designers. These are high-tech skills. People can design vehicles. You don't need to manufacture them nowadays. Some countries don't manufacture. They are service-oriented countries. We cannot start the manufacturing process now. It may be too late for Nigeria because the world has developed that too much.
So let's not play catch-up.
Let's not do that. It doesn't work. It's unintelligent. Let us focus on services. Nigerians are one of the brightest people in the world. Check the statistics. In America, the most educated immigrant group are Nigerians. So we need high-tech skills. I can sit in Nigeria right now, use my laptop to design a first-class car for Mercedes. They will not ask where the design came from. They will pay me millions of dollars for that design. So we need high-tech skills. We should check the highest earning skills in the world right now, and the government should build schools to train people deliberately for it. The government may lose billions of naira in the process of trying to jumpstart the process. Right. But I assure you, if you begin to train 50,000 Nigerians on hard tech skills, not training them to become historians, we don't need that. Google has solved that problem. We do not need more sociologists in this country. We don't need more historians. We need more people who can create usable skills, hard cash skills, hard skills. Government needs to be building. These people cannot build it themselves. They're already poor. The country is poor. So we need government institutionally, or if they cannot do that, you create a level playing field and allow the foreigners to come and do it. Imagine attracting a school like Massachusetts to come and put a campus in Nigeria.
Like the MIT.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. The MIT to come and put a campus in Nigeria. It can be done. You attract them, tell them to come. They don't pay taxes.
You've got to create the environment first.
You have to create the environment. You can create a particular environment for the school. For example, you don't have power in your country. You can say, okay, we build a power plant and devote it to them.
Dedicated
to them. You build highways connected to the school. You lure them with carrots, economic carrots. You bring them in to come and put money in the economy. And then they start to teach small Nigerians, 12 years, 15 years, go there and learn simple skills. It will not be reflected now. In the next 10 years, we have nothing less than 1 million human beings capable. What do you think India is doing? India was one of the poorest countries in the world 50 years ago.
Right.
As I speak to you now, Indians are smarter than Americans. The biggest companies in the world are run by Indians. Americans taught Indians, but the Indians are very good mathematically because of their religion. Their religion is philosophical. So when you teach an Indian mathematics and you teach an American, Americans are Western, secularly oriented people. A religious person knows mathematics more because they're going to reason it religiously. And so when they copy these skills, look at softwares now. Indians are the biggest designer of softwares.
Right.
They don't manufacture one thing Americans do. What they simply do is software in that area, services. As I speak to you, Nigeria has more poor people than India. Okay,
so and India have way more citizens. I mean,
the population is 1.4 billion.
Next to China.
But they have less poor people than Nigeria.
Let's talk about...
That's a problem.
I mean, Nigeria is in a recession now, yes. Apparently, and then COVID-19 is here with us.
Yes.
Experts are saying we are not out of the woods yet, and COVID will be here across the world generally.
Yes.
For some time to come.
Yes.
And then you hear somebody like Professor Doyin Salami, the chairman, Presidential Economic Advisory Council,
yes,
saying to you that if Nigeria must improve its economy and make citizens feel that improvement real time,
okay,
our growth not only needs to be fast, but must be at least 6%.
Okay.
But for this year, on the average, the projection we're saying for economic growth is about 2.3%.
Yes.
So how do you place that?
That's because of COVID. We can't do anything about that. COVID has added to the whole milieu of economic growth problems. So if there was no COVID, maybe maximum growth is 3.5%. But with COVID and the recession that came together, so not quite naturally, that one is not something. It's just a part of it. Even the whole world is growing slowly on average. So for Nigeria, there's no major thing that is going to happen. With this our palliative type of things, there's no major thing that will happen. But I do suspect something. You see what I'm talking about. By 2022-23, Dangote Refinery, for instance, will come into operation. You see the power of institutions. That thing will generate nothing less than $50 billion to this economy in the next 5 years. One man's investment. You know, that's where we should be going to. So, like I told you, we will still be having this 1.5%, 2% growth in the next 10 years, I can assure you. In the next 10 years, given the current statistics. But what we need to do is making big investments, especially in power, in ports, in attracting investments, registration costs and things like that, removing those what you call bureaucratic bottlenecks in government. Right. I want to register my company, I have to see this and see that, or I want to win a contract in Nigeria, I have to go and do some back check and things like that. We must be serious about development. We must communicate to the world that we are a serious country. You know, when it comes to corruption, we should stop talking about corruption and insecurity. We should be taking decisions. For example, how many Nigerians have gone to jail for corruption in the last 5 years?
And let's say there's a fusion between corruption and poverty.
Yes, there is. There is. Corruption. In fact, one does not cause the other. They reinforce each other. Corruption and poverty reinforce each other. Okay? So when you are trying to solve the problem of corruption, you're actually solving the problem of poverty.
Okay, I think that's the much we can talk about. Yes. I mean, every time you have Destiny here, the conversation just continues to expand for the right reasons. Destiny Owobo is economist and a statistician. Thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. We're taking a break now. We're back shortly to have a few more discussions. Stay with me.